Breaking on the story we brought you at the top of the hour, the turmoil atop the FBI. Two sources familiar with the matter telling NBC News that Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, may be leaving his job after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over his frustration with how the Justice Department has handled the Jeffrey Epstein files. As we reported earlier, Bongino did not come to work today after a heated argument with Pam Bondi Wednesday. Joining us now is my colleague, NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Also joining us, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton's here as
Reverend criminal, scum, MSNBC fake news. I tell you, y'all couldn't wait to report on it, huh? You know, they ought to arrest that criminal. At moments like this, I really want to hear from Dan Bongino himself. I know we had to go off this unnamed source. I tell you guys, man. But hey, let's jump into all this. Roll that beautiful intro.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our citizens, we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. My heart is like beating right now. Like all this news is just hitting me. You guys are blowing me up. Look at my notification box. I mean, it's just so much going on. Oh my goodness. I got like chills right now. Whew. There is so much going on, but I kind of expected this, you know, from everything that has taken place the last couple of hours. I knew something huge would hit the fan, and I told you guys, be ready. We do not know what to expect next. We are praying for America, praying for President Trump, this administration. We are with the America First agenda for common sense, you know, and we are rooting for President Trump, man. But we know the corruption, how dark it gets, it's deeper than the surface. And when it came to these files, you know, we were promised this full transparency, and you know how they came out with everything, and then the leak to Axios, and just how this whole thing taking place. Americans were not buying it. You know, they're not buying it, and now they have more questions. They want more answers. You know, and now it's hit the fan that it's not looking good for Pam Bondi. Now, again, these are sources going into all kind of places, the Daily Wire, and Dan Bongino. And even we have top officials are confirming this, because I don't want to just come on here and just post a video and then it not be true or this and that. You know, we're only going off the breaking news. And I'm pretty sure you guys are seeing the exact same thing. And hell, a lot of y'all are sending me this stuff. But now we have Dan Bongino will not stay at the FBI if Pam Bondi is not removed. So the next step is to fire Pam Bondi. Nick's order says this is not negotiable. And now we have another one. Cash Patel is considered resigning if Pam Bondi stays and Dan Bongino goes. Daily Wire. This should be the end of the conversation. Pam Bondi must be fired. Oh boy, this is wow. A lot is happening right now. And then we had they had a crash out at the White House. They were saying earlier, like an hour, 2 hours ago. And Dan Bongino just said he's taking the day off. And they don't know if he was going to return or not. Wow. And people are posting, I stand with, and everybody's posting this, I stand with Dan Bongino. Do you stand with Dan Bongino? And they're just posting pictures everywhere. But boy, oh boy.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Everybody has a breaking point. We're all human after all. And I was worried in seeing the catastrophic scorched earth fallout of the Trump administration's mishandling of the Epstein files and this case.
Yeah, y'all, all of my comments, and we seen Benny's reaction in real time, and everybody was like, "Man, Benny is finna cry. It's finna cry." But again, y'all, we a lot of us, man, we've been on top of this and covering this for a very long time, man. Especially Benny. He's one of those ones, call him what you want, and many other content creators. There's a lot of fake influencers, frauds, and MAGA fakes out there, man. And they're, you see a couple of them. They couldn't wait for just one little fallout and to jump ship. A bunch of fakes out here, man. And then they calling Trump all out of his name and saying this and that. Just a bunch of frauds and fakes out here.
That it would have contagion effects on some of the other individuals inside of federal law enforcement who've taken massive pay cuts and done an enormous amount of self-sacrifice in order to get into these positions. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Bongino has left his office inside of the FBI over the handling of the Epstein files and case.
And my question, how is Axios is getting everything firsthand? Man, Axios. Okay, Axios. All right. We know what's behind it, so all right.
General Pam Bondi having the clash point here. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino took the day off of work on Friday after clashing with the White House, at the White House, with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. 4 sources familiar with the conflict told Axios. Why it matters. The dispute erupted Wednesday amid the fallout from the administration's walking back its claims in the Epstein by determining the convicted sex offender didn't have a celebrity client list and that he wasn't murdered in his New York City prison cell in 2019. Bongino didn't come to work on Friday, leading some insiders to believe that he had quit. The administration officials saying that he's on the job as internal tension over the Epstein case explodes. Zoom in. At the center of the argument, a surveillance video from outside of Epstein's cell. The administration released saying that it was proof that nobody had entered the room before he killed himself. We've broken that down. It's absolute garbage. It's just a matter of fact. It is garbage. It's not true. The video of the cell is not a video of the cell. Even here, this reporting is wrong. A video outside of Epstein's cell. It's not outside of Epstein's cell. You can't see even the tier block. It's just an entry to the floor where Epstein was kept. You don't even see the door of Epstein's tier, much less Epstein's door. You don't see anything having to do with Epstein at all. So to say that this was conclusive, there were minutes missing that nobody even tried to explain. Listen, if there's an explanation, then give it to us. But there was no explanation. And the one that we got from Pam Bondi was insane. We just delete minutes all the time. Well, that seems wrong. Shouldn't that be something that we fix? There's just minutes deleted all the time. There were people coming and going. Nobody explained that. In the video, there are at least 7 people that come in and out of the floor. Nobody explains who they are. Nobody names them. Nobody says whether they're supposed to be there. The whole thing's a nightmare. When you actually study the video, I think they weren't counting on people, on autists, studying the video. We sure did. The 10-hour video had been widely called Missing Minute, fueling conspiracy theories about a cover-up. The Missing Minute, authorities say, stemmed from an old surveillance recording system that goes down every day at midnight to reset anew. Seems like a bad system, but at the very least prove to us that it happens every single night. Couldn't you show us footage of dozens of nights and say, hey, this just happens every night, don't worry about it? Seems odd. Bongino, who pushed the Epstein conspiracy theories on his MAGA-friendly podcast before President Trump appointed him to lead the FBI, found the video and touted it privately as proof that Epstein did not and had not been murdered. That conclusion, shared by FBI Director Cashapp and other conspiracy theorists turned insiders, angered many Trump MAGA-based criticisms, as Axios first reported and release of the video and related memo. After the video's missing minute was discovered, Bongino was blamed internally for the oversight, according to 3 sources. 2 sources familiar with Bongino's position said he was increasingly displeased with Bondi's handling of the Epstein case because she had publicly overpromised and underdelivered on disclosures of the Epstein client list. let me just say this. That's correct. I know some of these things to be true. Some of these things I think we're going to have to depend on other reporting. But I know this to be true. Because I've called the FBI and I've called the DOJ and I've called the White House. And I've spoken with people who have the impeccable credentials on this stuff. And people are not happy with how this has been handled. And the reality of this in particular, there are other, this isn't the same for everything, but for this in particular, all of the evidence is at Maine Justice. The evidence of the Epstein case lies within Maine Justice, lies within the Southern District of New York. The FBI has virtually nothing because the FBI, they're an intelligence agency that turns over all their evidence for prosecutions. They were going to prosecute Epstein, prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell. They turned it all over. That is the system. That is the process, whether you like it or not. And so people are very frustrated at like the timing of all of this. It all stems from Maine Justice. It comes from Maine Justice. And then an insane memo saying that, hey, there's nothing to see here, move on. That was unsigned. It was released and leaked for some reason to Axios. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Now Axios up with this story.
What I just say, Axios, I'm just saying.
Two sources familiar with Bongino's position say he was increasingly displeased with Bondi's handling of Epstein. She had publicly overpromised and underdelivered. That's right. That's what I've heard as well. That's what my sources have told me as well. That they're frustrated about the rollout, but especially all the media hits talking about it and talking about binders on my desk and files on my desk and thousands of videos. The intrigue. MAGA influencer Laura Loomer, a Bondi critic, wrote on Friday that Bongino and Patel were furious the way that Bondi had handled the case. Some Trump advisors had criticized Bondi, but Trump loves Pam and thinks she's great, a senior White House official said. Those witnessing the Wednesday clash between Bondi and Bongino in the White House were Patel, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and Taylor Bundowich, Deputy Chief of Staff. During the meeting, Bongino was confronted about a News Nation article that said he and Patel had wanted more information released about Epstein, but were held back. Bongino denied leaking that idea. Pam said her piece, Dan said his piece, and it didn't end on friendly terms, one person briefed on the heated discussion said. Bongino left very angry. Fact is that Dan was for releasing the information with the video and had no problem until he got heat online, senior administration official said. Bongino found the video missing minute. He vouched for it after a thorough review. He said that this would be the end of the matter. When that didn't work, he lost his mind and ran out of D.C., according to a source. Said a pro-Bongino source, Dan is not the bad guy here. He shouldn't take the fall. Yikes. This is what we always feared would happen. As we have said many times, we are friends with these individuals. Some of the clips of these individuals that have gone so viral lately are from our show. We don't want to see the meltdown. We don't want to see the blow up. This is what happens when you do things incorrectly. You have the contagion like this. And this is what happens when you do stuff with. This is the fallout. The team was working really well, and then when you have a catastrophic nightmare like this with the base, that could cost. I'm not going to enumerate it. It could just cost people a lot, right? When you're seen, when you are perceived to be lying by the base, it's bad. The blowup involving Trump senior law enforcement officials showed just how much the administration has been rocked by his handling of the Epstein case. At different times, Bondi, Bongino, Patel each have complained to others that they were being unfairly blamed for the Epstein flap and hung out to dry. Bongino, former Secret Service agent, joined the administration, gaining prominence as a conservative podcaster, regular appearances on Fox News. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has decided to weigh in on all of this, saying, we all worked closely together on the memo. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusion of the memo, which is an insane thing to say, given the fact that it's not signed, which I still can't get over.
Yeah.
So here's that commentary. This is Todd Blanche. Seems like a totally upstanding dude. Donald Trump and all those on the FBI memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and conclusion of the memo, and the suggestion that there's daylight between the FBI and the DOJ leadership of the memo's composition is patently false. This is Todd Blanche coming out. He's cooking on a ratio on this one. Viva. I say this with utmost respect without any snark or sass. The entire confusion stems from the fact that literally nobody signed it. It's undated and unsigned. is it even legal, right? If it's an undated, unsigned memo. Nor did anybody take the responsibility for it. It was leaked and quietly uploaded to a DOJ website the next day. That is specifically the origin of all the confusion and controversy. Other than Carolyn Levitt's brief comment on the memo, nobody has even assumed authorship of it or presented it officially. It's such a bizarre point. People hypothesizing that the memo was fake, right? Perhaps a press conference to discuss this and its finding. Instead of letting like all these little things like fester and go viral, how come nobody signed their name into the memo, right? My sources at the FBI wanted to release more information about Jeffrey Epstein, Pam Bondi. DOJ said no, and this caused tension between Bondi, Cash, and Bongino. Asking for transparency isn't difficult, says Loomer. Blondie is literally blowing up the Trump administration by concealing information, spending time on Fox News lying to the MAGA base, and releasing contradictory statements. There is information that can be released to the public, and the public wants to see it. Why was the memo released on a Sunday night of the 4th of July weekend with no official signage or no names or administration officials?
Man.
You only release memos on Sunday evenings on holiday weekends when you don't want anybody paying attention to the contents. Trump's team needs to read the room, and Blondie has been very damaging to the administration and damaged public trust in DOJ. She's hurting President Trump and his staff. She lied on national TV. She needs to be held accountable for harming Trump and the public trust. Well, this is all the news, man. That FBI, that Dan Bongino walked off the job. And this is now confirmed. Let's just see here. Axios says that this is true according to 4 sources familiar. I've called my sources and they are not answering. I think I can tell you why. When you have look, they're not answering because
this is pretty wild, man.
It would be my.
But we told y'all be ready for this, man. We told y'all. We told you be ready for something to take place after. Again, it's all been just after hearing about and I really hate how it all played out from the leak from Axios and 4th of July weekend. I really hate how this all has played out, man. It's this started getting a lot of heat. Y'all remember when Elon Musk came out and threw his temper tantrum and said Trump's in the files, and I just hate how this whole timeline. I just hate how it went down, and how they've once again just make President Trump look bad, man. But it's all gonna come out. It's all gonna take place the way it's supposed to take place. And I want to see where this takes us. How do y'all feel about this? How do you feel about Dan Bongino? How do you feel about Pam Bondi? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel. And also about Cash Patel. I want to see where this ends. This is spicy. Boy.
My experience is that they don't answer when it's true. They know what you're calling about. Scoop. This is Laura Loomer here. Let's see. When was this published? 10 a.m. today.
No, she just full blown. She been right about a lot of things. I know some people feel some kind of way about Miss Loomer, but she just been on point on a lot of things. And she be tweeting like, what I tell y'all, we should have investigated Pam long time ago. We should have, he say Pam should be investigated. Trump should fire her. She ought to resign. She been calling out a lot of things that has. And then when it hits the fan, everybody's like, well, Miss Loomer was right. Conspiracy theorists, I'm telling you, up 1,000 points. I hate to say it like that, but it's just truth. Truth. I know people hate hearing the truth, but that's the truth. The conspiracy theorist is winning. Yeah.
Published this Axios article, also published today. Let's see if there's a dateline here. Developing story will be. There's now speculation as to whether he will return to his job at the FBI with disgust of Blondie's lack of transparency in handling the Epstein files. Pam Bondi has brought total embarrassment to President Trump. Cash Patel lied to the American people. I'm told Cash and Bongino are furious at the blowback this has caused, a lack of transparency. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. No matter who you blame in all this, this has caused a crisis of confidence inside of federal law enforcement, which is sad because I believe that they really want, that this team really wanted to restore confidence in federal law enforcement. They would have taken this job if they didn't. I'm told Cash and Bongino are furious at the blowback Cash and Dan should call for Blondy's public resignation to save themselves, and also push for full transparency of the Epstein files. This is an issue that the American people care deeply about, and somebody needs to be fired for this. Trump should just fire her. She shouldn't give her the courtesy of resigning. This is Laura Loomer. No fan of Pam Bondi, obviously, and we already knew this. And again, I've read to you the full statement from Todd Blanche. I'm trying to be fair here. This is what they say in response to this reporting. Axios says they have 4 sources. Axios is up with an article here, Laura Loomer, up at 10 a.m. this morning, with what seems to be the exact same sourcing, like what seems to be people saying the same thing, which is a strong argument, quite frankly, for this to be true. Because if Axios, who does not work with Laura Loomer, and Laura Loomer, who we know is well-sourced inside the Trump administration, that's just a matter of fact, if they're both saying the same thing, then that means that the sources should stand a muster, right, and be impeccable. As I've said, I've called and my sources are not picking up. Which to me, in my experience, again, means that they know what I'm calling about and they know that it's true. It's just...
Yeah, Benny, that's pretty good. I mean, that's cold blood right there. Yeah, hey, Benny, get on the phone. Hey, what's going on down there? Yeah, buddy, ain't nobody picking up the phone right now. Yeah, they in there. It done got hot. They done dropped the Kool-Aid on the floor. Fleming. But we're gonna stay up to date on this, man. We're gonna bring you some of the best updates. Wow, did not expect this on a beautiful Friday, but hey, Trump is your president. Big things are happening. A lot of amazing things are happening, and American politics has become a reality TV show, and people are waiting for the next episode. And it seems like the next episode happens every 5 minutes, every hour. You just got to be ready to tune in. You got to be ready to tune in because you don't know what the next headline gonna be. You just don't know, man. But we are praying for America, praying for President Trump, this administration. I want to send my love and prayers to you guys, and that y'all have an amazing rest of your week. Have a happy Friday, happy weekend, and we'll see where this takes us, man. We're gonna follow up, and we're also might do a deep dive into Kash Patel. And because now there's more breaking news and more things leaked to Axios. So we'll see, But I love you guys. God bless you all. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love, family.